Bam, we're live. Welcome. All right. Bam, we're live. Welcome, TikTok. All right. So here we are. It is day 2 of the AI 100-day challenge. And we got a couple of different channels we're live on. So this is good. All right. So for those of you that are on YouTube, you're going to be able to see the screen, what I'm sharing. Those of you on TikTok, you won't. In the future, if you're on TikTok and you want to see what's happening on YouTube, just go over to my YouTube channel. If you subscribe to YouTube, you can be notified when I go live, and then you'll be able to watch the screen. All right. Very good. So let's get into it. I'm going to start sharing the screen. Man, we got some good stuff today. And here we go. All right. So as you know, day 2, we're talking about how to win with markup and margin, which ultimately will then give you profit. And a profit can be an elusive thing for many of you. I get it. So how do we get you to get profit? So yesterday we talked about how to win more jobs, right? Win all the jobs. So today we're going to get into profit. If you missed yesterday's, you can go back. It's in the workshop section on the YouTube channel under live. All right. So here we are, day 2. And again, for those of you on YouTube, I recommend you taking screenshots so that you'll remember this content. And you'll go back and you'll want to watch it one more time, right? Okay. So here we are. What does the industry say in plain English, right? So why do remodelers stay stuck under 100 million? Like, why is that number so elusive? As you know, for those of you in the industry, some of you have broken through it once, maybe twice. Usually you have a team. Very rarely does, a single operator break that number. They can, but generally not. It's a good goal to shoot for. It's not much money at the end of the day. Okay, we're talking a million. You'd be there before you know it, surprisingly. And if you have a team, once you get to a million, then all of a sudden you'll get to 5, 10, 15 before you know it. All right. So how does it work? What does the industry say in plain English? Most remodelers, right? They're too fragmented. They do what they consider to be custom work, but they run their business custom. There's no system, so they stay stuck, right? It's fragmented. Every job they look at as a one-off. There's no standardization. They can't scale, and their margins get crushed. Now, a bigger firm will Okay, thanks, TikTok. A bigger firm will build repeatable systems and they survive the downturns. And you don't have to take my word for this. You can go to the Journal of Light Construction. They have many articles that express this. Now, the old days, everyone thought 10 and 10. For those of you that do any insurance work, you can actually put on your insurance submittal when you're trying to win the job 10 and 10. And they'll pay that 10% overhead, 10% profit. That is going to kill your business, right? When you do insurance work, you need to build in another 50% on all your other prices so that way that 10 and 10 that they give you, but remodeling was not designed ever to be this 10 and 10. And again, you can go back to the Journal of Light Construction if you want more insight. Don't take my word for it. I'm going to tell you straight up, if you're only marking up things 10% overhead, 10% profit, you will fail and go out of business. So here's the problem most people have in the industry. They copy someone else's markup, and that's dangerous because most of your other competitors don't know what they're doing. And your overhead and your profit targets aren't the same as anyone else's. So what you need to make money won't be the same. You have to learn how to do your own math. And there's a gentleman, you can check this. Again, you don't have to take my word for it. There's a gentleman called Sean McCadden. He's been helping remodelers for a long time. I think he's retired now. You can go to his website and look up his content. He's been preaching it for over 20 years himself. Now, here's a reality check. According to the National Association of Home Builders, right, most remodelers are averaging maybe 25%, and that was 4 years ago. Okay. And that was a gross profit. So their net profit was only about 4 to 7%. Think about that. It's almost impossible to survive this industry. There's too many variables. One job could wipe you out. So You can find more information on that if you want something to back me up. Again, you don't have to listen to what I say. Check out the National Association of Home Builders and what they say about gross profit and net profit. So, what these breakouts do and help, I want you to understand that the price that you need to target, a gross margin, we'll call it, right? Let's say you're shooting for a 40% gross profit. That is going to require you to mark up your job 1.67 on the direct cost. Okay. Now, if you want to check that, go look at Qualified Remodeler. They have articles on that. And you can, if you need more insight. So when you're doing your math, when you say, this is how much I pay my guys per hour, this is how much my materials are, understand that you then need to mark that up times 1.67 just to get a 40% gross profit. Okay. You have to understand that markup covers overhead plus profit. Profit is what's left after overhead. So you have to understand the right markup by calculations and not guessing. There's a really good book out there. It's called Markup and Profit, and I recommend you get a copy. If you don't have it, you can order it off Amazon and read that. The best thing you can do for your business, for your family, for your future is understand how to price your work so that you make a profit. Why are you in this industry sweating so hard, running around town, and then doing a job only to find out at the end of the job or the end of the year that you didn't make any money, right? It doesn't work. All right, so here we go. What are direct costs? That's your labor, right? The people that are on site doing the swinging the hammer, doing the work. It's your subs and your materials to produce that job. Now, what is your overhead? That's all the things that you have to keep doors open. Like if you pay someone to help you in the office or to do your bookkeeping, to do your taxes, if you have rent because you rent a storage space or you have a warehouse or a garage, if you have any trucks, trailers, if you have to purchase any software, if you have to pay for a cell phone, internet, and your salary as an owner, you should be making a salary and being paid every 2 weeks, just like your employees. That's your overhead. Profit, that's the reward you get for having a business. So a lot of you guys are self-employed. You have a business, but you're not making any profit. You're just getting an hourly wage. You're better off working for somebody else because you're not getting the reward of the profit of being in business. All right. So here's where this gets more interesting. So you need what's called like a required markup, right? So the overhead plus planned profit and the direct cost. So Sean McCadden gets into this in depth. If you want more insight, and again, if you don't want to trust me, you want to trust somebody, go there. So you take your annual overhead and your planned profit and your direct cost, right? And you're going to need a minimum of 50% markup, right? So you do that by you times it by 1.50. So again, 10 and 10, that's a failure, right? It's a fixed add-on. It ignores your real overhead burden and the margin that you really need. Most businesses need far more than 20% to survive. See, we're not a fixed business. We don't just have a storefront and everybody comes to us and we just give them a widget. No, you're running out to their site and you're mobilizing and bringing all these people and all the resources and all the tools and all the training. That's why you have to charge a higher margin. If you were just building birdhouses out of your warehouse on your free time, then yeah, you could have a lower margin because it's just whoever shows up and buys one. It's not like you're driving to them. All right. So how can you use AI? AI is going to help you find your markup. So you'll use one of the AI prompts, whether it's Grok, you can use ChatGPT, you can use DeepSeek, and you're going to ask it to act as your remodeling finance type coach. And it's going to say, what are your estimated annual direct costs? And then 2, what are your annual overhead costs, like all the non-job expenses? And 3, your planned annual profit. Then calculate the required markup using overhead plus profit divided by direct costs. And this will show you an example of how to price an upcoming job. Let's say it's $25,000 of direct cost. And now you can have a markup that you can utilize. So this will show you how your implied gross profit margin works out. So do you understand that? You're proposing what it would be. You use AI and it will help you figure it out. So the markup is a percentage, a sample sales price, and the gross margin. That price is what gets created. Again, I can help you through this if you need more help. I know numbers at times can make people start to get a little crazy. It's not that you're not good at math. It's that over the years, you've just not trained your brain to do it. So it gets challenging because you're having to learn a new discipline. Most of you can do really good math. I know a lot of you can figure out real quick how many 2x4s you need. But when it comes to the markup, the margin, the profit, it's new math, and that confuses you. It doesn't have to be that way. If you just have someone walk you through it a couple times, it gets easier and you'll start picking it up, and then you'll start being profitable. All right. So how do you actually hit a gross margin? Well, you can use AI and say, I want to target this 40% gross margin, 60% gross margin on all my jobs. So you ask it to tell you the multiplier, the markup multiplier that you have to apply to all your direct costs. And in this example, it will provide that for you. So it's going to show you what you have to multiply that upcoming kitchen remodel by. So here's what you've done. You've taken the kitchen remodel. You've priced out the cabinets, the countertops, the sink, the faucet, the flooring, the paint. You understand what your sub, the electrician, the plumber, the HVAC are all going to charge you. You have all those numbers. Now you have to figure out what your markup is. And you can use AI to help you. All right, if you don't have it up here yet, if you don't have it on a spreadsheet because you haven't gone that route, AI can help you figure that out. Now, some of you want to keep it simpler. Well, you can do what's called your profit per crew per day. All right, so let's say you're doing a kitchen remodel and you know your cost for the materials, and you're going to do most of it in-house, maybe one sub. You can look at your crew and say, it cost me X to put a crew out on site. I would say you use a minimum of $100 per guy. That's the number you should use. But if you want to use less, like let's say use $50 an hour per guy. So you come up with your daily cost. And now you have to look at the schedule and say, how many days is it going to take us to do the job? Make sure you inflate it, add some extras. There's going to be something. Somebody's going to forget something. Someone's going to break something. The inspector's going to be late. You're going to fail an inspection. Who knows? There's going to be rain one day, whatever. All right. And then you can do a markup that way. Now, let's go over real quick. What is markup? Right? That is how much you add to your job cost to cover overhead and profit. Right? Markup percent equals overhead plus profit, which is your goal total job cost. Okay. So if you were watching this on YouTube, you can see I have a formula. You can take a screenshot, right? For those of you on TikTok, you're not able to see that, unfortunately. So, which is okay. I still appreciate you being here. So let's say that your total costs are $10,000 and you want $3,000 for overhead and profit, right? That gives you a markup of 30%. So basic math to start looking at. Margin. Margin is the percentage of your selling price that is the profit after all costs are paid. So if you sell a job for $13,000 and it cost you $10,000 to produce, then obviously your profit margin there is only 23%. That's not enough to survive. Okay. It's better than nothing, but it's not what a professional should be having. Maybe if this is your first month in the business, that's good. But if you've been in business for more than a year and you're getting 23%, we got to work on that. All right. So what is profit? Profit is what's left over after paying all the job costs and your overhead. This is the money that you keep. It's what you put in your pocket. So example, if you sell the job for 13, you spend 10, and $2,000 is overhead, then you only have $1,000 profit. So things just to remember, a 20% markup is not a 20% margin. If you think it is, you're underpricing every single job. And again, too many remodelers are using the 10 and 10. Throw that out. Forget about that. The only time you use 10 and 10 is when you have an insurance job and it's a fake number that you just put in there to appease the insurance adjuster who's going to approve your bid. The rest of your profit and markup is burned into every single line item that you're putting on your estimate. If you don't know how to do that, you reach out to us at the Academy and I'll show you how to do it and get the profit that you need. All right. So learn to price with purpose. You got to know the difference, right? So you can set your prices to actually hit your profit goals. This isn't just a hope strategy. There is a reason why many companies run around and do really well because they figure this out and they stick to it. You just have to get over your own fear, right? For some of you, for me, when I first got started, I didn't think I could charge that much. And then it was my own fear that I had to overcome. And I remember this clearly. The first guy that hired me for a basement, I asked him afterwards why he hired me. And he said, well, this other guy I wanted to hire, he was booked out more than you. And I said, really? You didn't want to wait? He goes, well, he was more expensive. Like that was, I got hired because I was cheap. And I knew from there on, that's it. I am not doing this again. Like I worked too hard. I have too much talent. And I could have gotten the job if I would have charged more. So if you understand the math, you can take profitability to the next step and you can have job after job. And think about this. If you sell a job and it's profitable, then that's the customer that you want referring you to other customers because then the next job will be that much easier to make that one profitable. If the job that you sell is not profitable and you took it out of fear because you're like, I just want to keep the guys busy, you might have been better off not taking the job and looking for another job that is profitable. That's just my 2 cents. I would say take the time to learn how to get more leads. Take the time how to learn how to increase the value that you're selling for. All right, that's it for today. Thank you for being here. Tomorrow, we're going to teach and go through how you can win at hiring, whether it's hiring direct employees or how you can win at hiring subs. There's never been a better time to bring guys onto your team right now if you know what you're doing. This whole idea of a labor shortage is a joke. It is not the case at all. The people that are struggling are the ones that don't have a good business model and aren't willing to pay good money. You can easily bring on an amazing team right now. You have a lot of companies that are going out of business and failing because they got started during COVID when anybody with a hammer could go out and do a remodeling job. It's not like that right now. So right now, the people that are thriving and surviving understand business. And anyway, all right, guys, thanks for being here. Have an awesome night. Like I said, we try to keep these short. And again, for you on TikTok, if you want to see any of the replays, go over to our YouTube channel. Take care. Thanks for being here. All right.
A brand new outlet has hit the shores of North America, and it's strutting its stuff all over fancy walls near you. And who better than us?